In the future, amidst a scorched radioactive desert, Max senses danger while eating a random lizard for lunch and quickly jumps into his car to flee. Hot on his tail is a gang of strong robbers who overturn vehicles and take drivers prisoner. The raiders drag Max to the Citadel, where they shave his head and mark him with a serial number and blood type. Not on his sleeve, but on his back. Not wanting to become an honorary blood donor, Max quickly escapes through narrow corridors, fending off pale pursuers and experiencing hallucinations of dead friends. Reaching a door, he sees that he is in a cave inside a rock. Max tries to escape on a dangling hook, but the cunning robbers pull him back in. Meanwhile, the leader of the raiders in the Citadel, Immortan Joe, puts on his terrifying mask to appear before his electorate. Decked out in metals, Joe steps out of the skull-shaped cave to the cheering crowd and announces the dispatch of a desert trucker caravan led by the warlord Furiosa, not to the diamond mines, but to a nearby settlement, Gastown, and the Bullet Farm. Joe celebrates the start of the caravan by releasing streams of drinking water from his reserves to the delight of the starving public, an unprecedented luxury by post-apocalyptic standards. As the caravan sets off, Rictus, the son of Immortan Joe, orders a signal to be sent to the neighboring city for barter. However, on the way, Furiosa, saying, "I know a shortcut," veers off the main highway. The convoy obediently follows her east, obeying the warlord's orders. Concerned, Joe, suspecting something amiss, runs to a secret hideout where the most beautiful members of his harem live. They have escaped, leaving a message for the dictator's wife that they want to save their children from him. Meanwhile, Max is assigned as a blood donor for a frail, anemic soldier named Nux, one of the many warriors of the Citadel. Hearing the signal to move out, Nux wants to join the chase to die honorably in battle rather than from illness. For this, he and his partner, Slit, are forced to take along their blood bag, Max, who is shackled in a steel muzzle and chains. With Max strapped to the front of the car, Nux joins the pursuit to the accompaniment of drumming and an incendiary guitar solo. During the chase, Nux catches the eye of Immortan Joe, who, in a religious frenzy, slams the pedal to the metal and breaks away, something Max, tied up, finds somewhat inappropriate. Moving alongside, Joe's convoy signals with rockets and calls for reinforcements from 2 allied towns. Seeing this, Furiosa changes direction but exposes the caravan to an attack by a gang called the Porcupines. The Porcupines attack the convoy, but the soldiers, losing a few motorcycles, manage to destroy several pursuing vehicles in return. A bandit truck latches onto their tail, and it's not easy to shake them off. Moreover, Joe's convoy is almost upon them. First come Nux and Slit at maximum speed. Using explosive spears, they disable the Porcupine truck and help the shooters on the truck fend off other vehicles. One of the wounded warriors, realizing he won't survive, makes a heroic leap onto a car to enter Valhalla. The Porcupine truck closes in on the truck from the side, and Nux catches up to it so Slit can take aim at the driver. When the crane truck with a saw attacks the cab of the truck, Nux spins the car around and drives backward, away from the menacing sight of Max and a pile of grenades. The Porcupine truck suffers a crushing defeat and falls apart. Having dealt with the gang, the caravan tries to break away from Joe's convoy. Furiosa drives the truck straight into a sandstorm. Max tries to pull his shackles off, but Slit notices and drags the prisoner onto the roof, trying to break his neck. But Max has his own ideas. He kicks the raider down, but doesn't have time to climb into the cab and is forced to endure the storm by hiding behind the car. Inside the storm, amidst raging lightning and tornadoes, Furiosa hits a pursuer's car right in front of Nux, sending him into a battle frenzy. Nux accelerates and tears off the fuel pumps to turn the car into a projectile. Overtaking the truck, Nux lights a signal flare to create a big bada boom. But Max, taking advantage of the roof torn off by the wind, intercepts his hand. The truck rams the braking car, scattering unlucky passengers, and continues like the locomotive of this story. Max wakes up like a dog poop on the beach, lightly covered with sand. Following the chain, he finds the unconscious Nux and considers shooting his hand to free himself. But the bullets misfire. Hearing noise, the man grabs the bandit and a car door, dragging him forward. Furiosa tries to clean the sand from the air filters of the stalled truck. There, he not only finds the one-armed legend but also Joe's former concubines, plotting an escape and wasting precious water on bathing. Using Max's position with the chain, Furiosa attacks, knocking Max down. But the stolen gun doesn't fire, forcing the woman to continue the fight with the concubine's support. They pull the chain, distracting the opponent. Furiosa rushes to the hidden pistol, but Nux, waking up, attacks her. Max manages to grab the gun, but the woman pulls out the magazine, which Nux picks up. The fight continues, despite the girl's numerical superiority. Teaming up with Nux, Max gets the gun and fires warning shots near Furiosa's head. Cutting the chain with pliers, he takes the bandit's jacket and, punching him in the stomach as a farewell, gets into the truck cab and drives off. Furiosa orders the women to run after him. The car soon stalls, and the road legend is placed locks, so no one but her can drive the truck, and offers a deal. They flee together from the pursuers. After playing coy for a bit like a decent guy, Max agrees, especially since Furiosa offers to help remove the muzzle. Seated, the woman starts the engine. Waking up, Nux runs after them and climbs onto the trailer. Heading them off is Joe's allied convoy from Gastown, led by the cannibal ruler of the city. Suddenly, the tractor loses speed. Max climbs out to check what's slowing them down. The trailer wheels are blocked. While he connects them to the power and saws off the mask, cunning Nux sneaks through the tank into the cab and attacks Furiosa. The other women quickly tie him up and throw him out, where a squad from the Bullet Farm, Joe's second ally, has joined the chase. Approaching a gorge, Furiosa orders everyone to hide. She has a deal to pass through, but only if she is alone. Stopping at the agreed place, the woman goes out to negotiate with the local bikers. A tank of fuel in exchange for safe passage and blocking the path with rocks afterward. But the bikers are unhappy that there aren't just a couple of convoy cars on their tail, but 3 full-fledged armies. Realizing the deal is off, Furiosa signals, and Max starts the tractor. Furiosa climbs inside through the hatch, and the bikers, seeing the enemy forces, block Joe and his accomplices in the gorge and chase after the truck, stuck in the gorge, and prepare to dismantle the blockage. Meanwhile, Joe and the others cross over the rocks, bringing along Nux, picked up along the way. Joe himself, sitting behind the wheel, wants to open fire on the fugitives, but they shield themselves with a pregnant beauty. Joe values his children too much to harm them. Nux volunteers to crawl through the tank to the driver. He is blessed by Joe himself for the mission, which is crucial for the guy in the context of religious adoration. However, getting caught on the chain, he drops the retrieved revolver, disappointing the boss. Joe himself attacks the truck, harpooning and damaging the steering, but the wives cut the chain into pieces. Only the beauty fails to return to the cab in time and slips, falling right under the wheels of the Bigfoot, which overturns from the impact. Breaking away, the fugitives stop to cool the engine. They continue their journey east in search of the mysterious Green Lands. One of the wives finds Nux, grieving that he disgraced himself in front of a Morton Joe and missed the chance to die in battle 3 times. Such fools are not awaited in Valhalla. The truck races through the night until it reaches a swampy mire. Max sets mines, blowing up the leading pursuers' vehicles. The truck moves through the swamp, getting stuck every minute. The fugitives are forced to constantly put something under the wheels. Inspired by Joe's wife, Nux gets behind the wheel to help pull the tractor out. Meanwhile, a Caterpillar vehicle from the Bullet Farm's gunman approaches them. With her last bullet and Max's support, Furiosa shatters the projector, blinding the furious gunman, who continues the chase, shooting chaotically in every direction. Max and Nux, meanwhile, attach a rope to a tree and, using a winch, pull the truck out of the mud, breaking the tree in the process. In the morning, in response to questions about the Green Lands, Furiosa admits she was born there but was kidnapped as a child. The battle truck, swallowing miles across the desert, encounters a sun-glinting tower adorned with metal parts. At the top sits a naked woman asking for help. But seasoned Max knows that naked women only bring trouble. He says it's a trap. Furiosa approaches to introduce herself as a ward of the Vuvolini. After that, several motorcyclists of the Vuvolini descend from the truck. They welcome the newcomers, expressing distrust only toward the men. The joy of the meeting is overshadowed by the fact that the green lands from Furiosa's memories have turned into a lifeless swamp during her absence, which they crossed at night. Despite Furiosa's disappointment, during the night stop, one girl says they keep their heritage, a supply of seeds, to populate the land with plants if suitable soil is found. In the morning, the women and Nux leave, leaving Max a motorcycle as thanks. Feeling a bit crazy from loneliness, he quickly catches up to the departed to offer an alternative plan: to return to the Citadel, trap Joe's army in the gorge by blowing up the tank, and start a revolution there using water and seeds. The new green lands will be established near the mountains. Seeing the returning truck, the bandits give chase, realizing Furiosa is heading for the gorge. Bandits in 3 cars manage to harpoon the tank, slowing the truck's progress. Grabbing a bolt cutter, Max detaches the trailers. He barely avoids falling when a truck on the side rams the truck, tearing off part of the roof with a harpoon. Following this, the jumpers on poles swing towards the tank. They climb on top, forcing Max into a hand-to-hand fight. One manages to throw a bomb into the cab, while another attacks Furiosa, but gets a precise hit to the head from an old woman. The action of trying to board the truck continues. Even chainsaws are used, like some kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Max gets an arrow wound in his arm, which luckily doesn't hit his head. A pole jumper manages to pull one of Joe's wives out of the cab. Coming to his senses, Max continues to attack the bandits and dominate using agility and wits. At one point, he nearly falls under the wheels, but Furiosa catches the battle comrade just in time. However, a raider sneaks into the cab and stabs her in the side, for which he gets shot in the eye and kicked by angry women. Meanwhile, the truck is gradually surrounded by enemy vehicles, but at this moment, Nux fixes the overheated engine, and the tractor's power goes full throttle, crushing an eager bandit's car under its wheels. Nux kicks Max, who is hanging, onto the neighboring truck, which belongs to the cannibal ruler of Gastown. There, he eliminates the mayor's guards with the help of an old woman sniper, knocks out the fat man, and takes the wheel himself. Noticing the leadership change, the flamethrower attacks Max, but Furiosa rams the audacious one in support. Max is informed that Furiosa is injured. Pressing the gas pedal with his foot, he returns to the familiar truck, but a pole jumper picks him up. Max tries to return to his allies, but instead he ends up on the music platform, where he demonstrates to the guitarist the advantage of percussion instruments over strings. At the entrance to the gorge, Furiosa pushes Joe's Bigfoot, but it still breaks forward, blocking the truck. Handing the wheel to Nux, the wounded warlord climbs onto the truck. Seeing the new passenger, Rictus gets out of the cab, but one of Joe's wives deceives him to sneak in and help Furiosa. Returning from the concert, Max joins the fight. But victory is only achieved with the help of the sniper Granny, who presses the gas just in time. Nux helps Furiosa deal with the enemy and get to Joe. Sacrificing her prosthesis, she kills him by ripping off the breathing mask with flesh. Max drags Furiosa into the back, then orders the others to get onto the Bigfoot. Nux tells his friend he will go last. However, when Rictus comes to his senses and tries to catch up with the fleeing women, he brakes to stop him. Approaching the narrow passage, Nux turns the wheel heroically, overturning the truck. The fuel reserves are enough for an explosion that collapses the passage. Completing the plan, Max gives first aid to the wounded Furiosa by improving ventilation. Soon, the Bigfoot arrives at the Citadel. Max presents the guards with the corpse of a Morton Joe, who turned out to be quite mortal. The electorate tears his body into souvenirs. Meanwhile, the other warriors experience an acute crisis of faith. But they recognize Furiosa and lift her up in the elevator. While the other Vuvolini turn on the water supply, they ascend in the elevator with dreams of building a new green land in a new place. Furiosa turns around and sees Max walking through the crowd, just as lonely as he was at the start. The movie ends here,